Hello and welcome to the Micro Holder channel. Our aim is to present clear and detailed instructional videos on how to hack your life and other things. Today I'm going to make a new music production studio out of an old Macintosh Power Mac G5. I will show you how to take the case apart and remove everything in a step-by-step guide, in a way that nothing gets damaged in the process, and we will recycle all the parts we find inside. If you enjoy the video, then please hit the like button. It really helps our channel. And if you'd like to see more, then why not subscribe? I'd always wanted to put a PC in one of these cases, but they were always too expensive until now. I've seen a lot of other YouTubers hack the hell out of them. It's not necessary though. On the left here is the door release catch. And on the right, the graphics card output. This is the rear fan cover and the in-out port. And here at the bottom is the power supply input. I'm going to replace the whole power supply, which I'll show you in the next video. I'm going to keep the front panel in-out port because I think it looks great. I had to buy a new lead for it. It was a little expensive, but it's the only thing I really spent money on. I'll put a link for the supplier in the description down below. And I've got a nice new Blu-ray player to go into the media tray. Right, let's get on with breaking this Mac down. First remove the door. Just pops out like that. And then we take out the nice Perspex airflow management system. And then the front fan just pulls out with this clip here. These fans are like boat propellers. They're not very efficient. They're too heavy. So I'm going to replace them with nice new modern fans, but no LEDs, because you won't be able to see them inside the box. For the heatsink cover, there's usually a little peg right here, but mine's missing. The old owner must have removed it. The idea is you push the peg up and release it like that. I'd obviously use a smaller screwdriver than this. And then the heatsink cover moves to the left and pops out forwards. Very simple. No force needed at all. There you go. I love the industrial build quality of these machines. In fact, if Apple built tractors, I'd definitely be in the market for one. Here you can see the slots where it slides in. This duct just pulls backwards and out, and the one on the front, it unclips on the inside, just here. You push both clips in and it just pops out. You have to give it a bit of a tug though, because the cable's stuck to the motherboard. I won't be using this cable again, because I'm installing new fans front and back. Let's see if the previous owners installed some nice 8GB RAM. Nah, 256. That can go straight on eBay. The front top fan also houses the front speaker. You have to be careful where you put your hands here, because the speaker's right there. Hold on to the very edge of this, pull it out gently, and then give it a tug to release the cable from the motherboard. I'll be replacing this fan with a nice efficient new one. Plus I'll keep the speaker in place and see if I can reuse it in some way. The CPU cooling system is probably the hardest thing to remove. The fixing screws are about 1 inch long, so it takes quite a while to get them out. I used my flexible screwdriver extender to make life a lot easier. It still took me a good half hour to get every single screw out of here. It took a lot of undoing. And some of them are in really hard to get to places. Especially this one. Once I got them all out, it was just a matter of giving a good old tug on the cooling system. And out it came. What a beast. It weighs over 1 kilo. I'm definitely going to sell this on eBay. To remove the rear fan cover, we need to undo all these tiny little screws. Put them in a safe place because we'll need them later for when we come to reinstall the fan cover. And put this little mesh screen somewhere safe as well. We need that too. Now we remove all the cables from the motherboard. It can be a bit tough sometimes, but they should all come out. See how dusty it gets inside one of these machines over time? It's pretty disgusting, and I'm starting to itch, to be honest. I've already removed the 4 screws underneath the media player, and now I just unclip these 2 clips and it slides out. There's a little mesh cover on the front. Unclip the cables and keep hold of that mesh cover. We need that for later. Okay, time for a good old hoover. The motherboard has a ton of screws holding it down onto the body. It took me some time to remove them all. I won't bore you by having you watch me unscrew every screw, but trust me, there's loads. Once they're all out, it slides out sideways, or any way you like, because we're not going to reuse it for this project, but I will be using it for something else I've got planned. The last hoover upstairs, and we're ready for the next stage. This is the section that most people have trouble with. I've seen people trying to yank these out or even cut them out with a saw. They may be screwed at the back and the drive bay screwed from underneath, but actually it's easier if you remove the whole shelf first. Start by removing every bolt that holds in the door locking mechanism. Put them somewhere safe. They're pretty unusual, these bolts. Once you've got them all off, you can focus on the next part. Removing the bolts that hold in the drive bay and the fan housing. Again, you want to keep these bolts somewhere safe. We're going to reinstall all of these parts. There's a tiny circlip holding this pin in place. You need to push it back, but don't lose it. It's the only one. Then we push down the pin to release the door catch. There's a little washer top and bottom. Don't lose these two because they're both very important as well. They fall out when you pull out the pin. These clips are easy to remove. They're held in by a spring underneath. Put your screwdriver under, tuck it in and flip it down. I'll show you in more detail with this one I've already removed. Turn it over, you can see there's a slight gap. You insert the screwdriver between the spring and the door mechanism and flip it down. Bing! There you go. Piece of cake. Now the latches can be pulled upwards and slide out. Remove the other 2 latches in exactly the same way, and then the whole plastic door locking mechanism should slide out. Another part we'll be reusing, so put all these bits somewhere safe and we'll come back to them later. These give a lot of people trouble, but you can actually just loosen them with a strong pair of pliers. Once they're all loosened, undo them by hand and remove them. Then the shelf slides to the left and pops out. The drive trays can be removed, along with the fan housing, which unscrews on each side. I'll be reusing this fan because the connector is exactly the same as on a PC, and I don't want to go to the hassle of finding a fan like this. And of course there was another drive at the top here, so I've attached one so you can see how easy it is to remove. I don't know why there wasn't one in the case, but obviously the previous owner had taken it out. Again, there's 5 screws on top. And 2 at the back, one on the left and one on the right. Once they're all loose, it just falls out. Next, we remove all the motherboard standoffs. Use a strong pair of pliers for this because they're pretty tough. You can leave the ones at the back, especially the one under the media tray, because we need that to attach the central shelf. I'm going to adapt these drive trays so they'll accept a solid state drive. I'll install Windows on one of them and it will boot up nice and fast, but they'll need a bit of a tweak first. I'm using this old drive mount so I can mark out the holes in the right places. It took me some time to work out which way round the drive should go. You want the connectors to be at the back of the drive so the cable tighter can feed the cables through. Then mark it with a pencil and then drill. I've got a nice piece of wood underneath, so I don't drill through my worktop. Once it's drilled, I took a scalpel and I cleaned out the holes. And then it's just a matter of checking the drive fits in place and all the holes are in the right position. And I got it right first time. Not a stroke of luck. As mentioned, the connectors for the power cable and the SATA cable are at the back, but the cable tidy, the little silver plate here, wasn't wide enough to let them through. I only need a short cable, so I'll probably use the yellow one. Plus I've got a power splitter here, so I can drive both drives with the same cable. To remove the back plate, just unscrew it here, and then there's enough room to poke the SATA cable through the hole. I had to bend the plate a little bit to get the power cable through, but eventually they all went through nicely. Then it was just a matter of fitting everything back in place. I screwed back in the cable tidy plate, then reattached the SSD hard drive. It all turned out really nice and tidy, and I think it'll fit perfectly in place. However, I may change the cables, but for now it's a good mock-up. I'm pretty pleased with it. In part 2, we're going to tackle the power supply. One of the hardest jobs, but it's worth it. I don't want to spoil the look of the Mac, and I want to keep the bottom shelf in place because the fan housing and everything else attaches to it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the like button and maybe even subscribe to see more.